join in again today. We have some issues with the program that we had initially planned today, so it's going to be relatively uh, be more of a creative meeting where we have a chance to do some chat room discussions, which we'll get into in a minute. And first of all, welcome to the Rotary meeting, and Terry, you're going to lead us in a four-way test.
Yes. Okay, please join me in the four-way test of all the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Barry. And Dennis Domke will have a reflection for us. Dennis?
Good afternoon, everyone. I was looking for something on resilience, and I went to Dr. Amit Sood's website, which many of you know, and he's spoken to our club in the past, and I found this letter to himself. So it says, imagine it is spring 2025. Tucked in your blanket, trying to sleep at night, your mind travels back 5 years. You remember the fear, fearing doorknobs, grocery bags, light switches, sneezes, handshakes, and hugs. You remember the sadness, the loss of freedom, time with colleagues, birthday parties, sleepovers, visits to the mall. You remember the anger at human greed, irrationality, willful ignorance. You remember the grief, sobbing at the loss of fellow beings who breathed their last breath alone in an ICU to the sound of a ventilator. But it's not all negative. You remember the love, sticking hearts on the windows, spending quality time with loved ones. You remember the kindness, making small sacrifices, giving an extra tip, supporting those struggling. You remember the gratitude, grateful for the gift of food, deep breath, and togetherness. You remember the meaning, coming closer as a family, choosing to forgive, working on personal well-being. Coming back to today, now remember 2025. COVID-19 is one of the worst threats our world has seen. It has disrupted our lives, finances, freedoms, relationships, and a sense of security. It has brought loneliness, furloughs, and job losses. No one knows when this will end. Are we looking at a second wave, a third wave, a fourth wave? How can you calm your mind, let alone feel upbeat? Here are 3 thoughts shared as 3 steps. The first step, acknowledge that COVID-19 has created a heavier load than your mind can lift. Accept that feelings of fear, sadness, anger, grief, are natural. The negative feelings are part of the mental potpourri. No need to stifle them. When you accept these feelings, they loosen their grip. They free your attention to embrace the present moment. The second step, spend more time in the present moment with your attention tethered to your senses, flowing with your breath, watching the sunset colors, smelling the aroma of coffee, feeling your feet on the floor, admiring your loved one's eyes, and more. Externally focused attention frees your mind from its fatiguing wanderings. The third step, the present moment opens the door to a well of comfort and positivity, experiencing compassion, gratitude, love, and meaning. You think about those who have it worse. You feel grateful for the ordinary and the simple. You prioritize affiliative moments. You think about the larger meaning of your life. Once your brain fills with these uplifting feelings, fear and anger slowly fade. They're still there, but no longer dominate your thought flow. With repeated practice, the feelings you nurture start multiplying. The more you focus on compassion, gratitude, and meaning, the bigger space they occupy in your brain's real estate. Acknowledge your fear and convert it into proactive actions that help you secure safely. Once you have done that, embrace the splendor of the present and fill it with uplifting thoughts and perceptions. On a peaceful night in spring 2025, tucked in your blanket when you think about this day in 2020, you might remember the fear and sadness, but I will hope you quickly move to love and kindness. You'll turn on your side, smile, and lose yourself in the world of your dreams. I just want everybody to know that humans are one of the most resilient species on the planet. And, you know, they say this too shall pass. And we're all in this together. So be hopeful.
That's it's a very good reminder, and it's very appropriate. The conversation that Elizabeth and I have had regarding a replacement program for the one that was initially planned on Native Americans, which we'll hopefully be able to postpone to a later date when we're able to arrange the rights to actually have that presentation. But in the meantime, we have an appropriate something that's very appropriate to what Janice just talked about, and that's discussion about finding ways to disagree in a friendly manner, you might say. So before we get to that, I guess I don't believe that we have any visiting Rotarians. I look at the screen, I don't see any. So as we go forward, don't be afraid to invite friends and associates to come to these meetings. We're always open to having new voices and new people to hear what we do. Next week, our Rotary program will be a life program with Christine Piper from RCTC. She's the program director senior program director for RCTC, and we look forward to having a program from her. Rotary upcoming events: Rotary Ethics Workshop meeting tomorrow at 7:30. Diana, I assume you're heading that up, and I understand that there was no. Okay, you're muted, Diane, so I can't hear you.
I said I wasn't leading it, but I'll be there.
Okay, well, I know you're involved anyway,
Yeah.
and your involvement is certainly a critical part of that ethics program. And the Rotary Holiday Classic team meeting is Monday, the 24th, I believe, at 11:30 via Zoom. And I haven't heard any different. They're still moving forward as far as I can tell. We haven't gotten any guidance yet from the Minnesota State High School League in terms of whether the events like this are going to be allowed or not. But I think the committee is still moving forward with planning on this event. So stay tuned and keep an eye on Moccasin Flower for that. And as mentioned, I think in previous Moccasin Flower, there are great sponsorship opportunities that if you or your business or your organization has the ability to participate by doing some level of sponsorship, it certainly would be appropriate and appreciated. August is Rotary Membership Month. And so this past year, 2019-2020, the new members that came into the club were Roy Adams, Julie Brock, Joe Hammis, Sherry Whalen, Marco Lance, Carl Anderson, and Catherine Cooley. So thank you for joining, and you're recognized as new members. And recognizing Rotarians in this past year that have proposed new members: Mark Benscotter, Audrey Betcher, Chris Colby, Heather Holmes, Jim Sloan, Bill Wichter, and I don't know if we've missed anyone. If there's anyone else that you can think of, raise your hand here so we can get that recognized. Otherwise, so thank you, first of all, for everyone that is new members, as well as those that have proposed new members. We're constantly looking to replace members that have resigned or moved away, and we certainly could use to keep that process going. So, Elizabeth, have I missed anything? I guess the other item, or maybe I could mention a couple of things while we have a little bit of time here. The Rotary, the golf outing that we have been kind of going back and forth on. We've decided to continue to plan that as September 16th, which is, I believe, a Wednesday, and so that is, sign up for that is on our website, and if you have a group that you'd like to sign up for, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, whoever is signed up will be paired. We'll just arbitrarily pick some pairings and see what happens. And we will have a semi-Rotary type meeting. We'll have a box lunch in the pavilion outdoors at Willow Creek. So hopefully the weather is as nice as it's been the past several days. And we'll have a speed networking opportunity, which I think all of you have probably done at one time or another, where we would just do a short networking connection and get to know some of our fellow Rotarians that we maybe don't get a chance to talk to or meet or find out about their background in a very kind of a very brief sort of manner. So that's the plan. The second thing that I guess is appropriate to mention is that the board and Elizabeth and I have moved forward with the idea of moving our face-to-face, hopefully our face-to-face get-togethers out to the Rochester Country Club, effective September 10th, I believe, is our first meeting out there. And we will be putting more information out on the moccasin flower, but the intent is that we will have a hybrid meetings where we'll have the opportunity for face-to-face, socially distanced meetings. So we'll have, like, on a large table, we'll have 4 people, for example, and we'll be spread out in their large ballroom there. So, you know, we're able to handle 20 or 30 people easily. And in addition to that, we're going to broadcast that through the Zoom program. So we'll have both that will give anyone that has mobility problems or is just not ready to open up and become, you know, go out in public at this point. That opportunity will still be there, and this will be new to us, so you're going to have to bear with us for a few meetings, but I think it's a good opportunity to learn and work with the technology, and we may find that some of this technology is something we do on an ongoing basis. So you'll hear more about that in the moccasin flower, but I just wanted you to be aware of that coming up in early September.
And Chris, may I just interject that that is based on the survey that went out to membership. About 70% of people felt like they were able or comfortable meeting in a group, up to about 20. So that is in response to the preferences of members, but there is in no way, like Chris said, any push for people who aren't comfortable yet.
Right. Just give you a little bit of additional. The country club is observing, of course, all of the social distancing rules, and their staff is cleaning and preparing everything. The meals will be a $20 fee for meals. Should mention that. They will not be box lunches, although that is an option that we would have in the future. But they will have an opportunity for us to have a small plate or a large plate. The large regular lunch would be plated at $20, and there will probably be a salad option that we'll put out as well. I'm waiting for that proposal from the country club to get that out to everybody. So that's just kind of an update on where we are with that. So with that, I guess it's time to go into what we've decided the program should be for today. Based on you know, the economic hardships brought on by the COVID-19 virus, the virus itself, and the timeline to get a vaccine, racial unrest, and the resulting violence that is out there in our in our communities, even as close as the Twin Cities and other local communities. And on top of all this, we're in the middle of obviously a very contentious national, both presidential and congressional election process. And so it occurred to Elizabeth and I, as we were looking for programs, that finding a program that would talk about how to give us a little bit of give us a little bit of lesson in having sort of civil discourse and having an opportunity to find ways to agree to disagree with others. So we have I believe it's a TED program that Elizabeth has found, and we'll run that. And then the plan would be afterward to have a 10 or 15-minute breakout session for everyone where we could chat about this a little bit. So that's the plan. Elizabeth, you want to take it from here? And continuing to, share some of this, or do you want to just let it go? I don't know what the right answer is here, but I think well, let me just share this, because we're getting down to the 12, almost more than 4 or 5 minutes left. The opportunity for civil disobedience and politics and so on is something that we don't want to deal with at Rotary. Obviously, we're intending to try to stay away from that, and it's really tempting to. I tend to be a little bit more of a political person, and I suspect that several of us are, more inclined to speak out and be actively involved. And I think the important thing for us as Rotarians is to try to stay on the level of being service to people and helping people, move their lives along. And under the circumstances we have right now, there's plenty of challenges that are opportunities that we can take advantage of that are not necessarily conflicts. They're really just helping people, because people are in all of these different areas are in dire need of help or counseling or even just having friendships. And so I think it's important that we stay at that level, at least at the Rotary level. And then when you want to wear a different hat, not a red one necessarily, but a hat of a different perspective, that be something that we do through a different means. So.
Can I be a statistician here?
Yes.
I think what our speaker was saying is that you have to go below. You see the differences in behavior, but you don't know why. What is it that's happening? And you have to go below that to look for other things that are affecting it. How is your positions? What are the factors that are affecting your decision? And I think you guys have got to go look at people's philosophy, their view of life, and that's influenced by a lot of stuff, depending on how you were raised and all that jazz. And so it's worth it to start looking into some of those underneath things to try to, because we might be able to find our negotiation or common ground or whatever you want to do when we understand where we're coming from, not just where we are.
Right. Well, I think the one of the suggestions that the speaker had was to try to be educating some of the younger people about some of the skills that are involved in doing this, because that's the key, is that now you have an opportunity, if you've got someone that's moldable, to give them some skills about how you can sort of dredge up some of the background of why somebody would think a particular way, and then you can get at an actual civil discourse instead of just starting to shout at each other through the social media or whatever. So.
Yeah. In other words, get techniques for getting to some of those root causes that are of why we are where we are. If we can figure out a way to do that and without destroying the relationship in the process, we can find a way to find common ground.
Well, I think too, it's useful to find these opportunities where we can you know, we were talking in our group about several of us are retired, and so we've lost the perspective of having a place to have some interaction with others that you would work with on a more informal basis. And so those of us who are retired need to find other ways to find organizations or get-togethers when we can have get-togethers, ways to have discussions about things that you know, that are meaningful to us, and that we can feel out some of our points of view that might need to be clarified or whatever. So, well, I think we're at the end of the day here. Hopefully we can get back to a regular program next week, which appears to be a pretty good program from RCTC, and I think we'll adjourn from here unless anyone has anything else they'd like to raise. Otherwise, as we adjourn, go and serve, and remember, Rotary opens opportunities. So,
Thank you all.
you all, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Enjoyed the discussion.
Good.